All right, we're back on TYD Sports. It is football season, and this clip's going up tomorrow, even though I'm shooting it on Thursday, and I have the Patriots -8.5, because we're going to go through the picks, my picks. The funny thing about this, and there's some context to go with it, a lot of you watch the RotoWire and TYT Sports combination with Chris Liss and Ben Mankiewicz. We used to do that with Chris and Ben making their picks. They'd pick their 5 best games. That's weak. They're weak human beings, both of them, because real men, as Chris would say in his own podcast, but a real man picks every game against the spread, which is what I've been doing for 8 years of my life. In a pool that, not to brag about it, but we won last year. Me and my dude Danny Watkins, who we do the pool together, one of my college friends, we won last year. It's a pool that pays out weekly and then also at the end of the year. So if you win the week, you get money. Here's the funny part. We came in second like 14 times last year. However, coming second that many times means your overall record is going to spank anybody else that's trying to come close, and we won the overall season. So I have New England -8.5. I actually don't have New England -8.5. My friend Danny, who does these picks with me, is a Patriots fan, and there ain't no convincing him otherwise. Therefore, I either sound like a genius by saying I was going to take the Kansas City Chiefs, the biggest frauds in professional football, or I look like an idiot because the Patriots won 45-0, and Andy Reid still doesn't know how to manage a clock. Onwards, Arizona giving 1.5 to Detroit. In Detroit, we will take the Detroit Lions at home. Matthew Stafford just got paid. Hopefully he spent some of it on, I don't know, booze, boats, anything. Is he married? Girls? Who cares? He's probably living large. Hopefully he can take some of that energy and adrenaline into the season. I'm really high on Philadelphia this year. I think Philadelphia could win the NFC East. I actually think Philadelphia will win the NFC East, which is just absolutely fucking torturous to say, but not as bad as the Cowboys, saying the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East, because that would be the worst thing in the world. They're giving half a point to Washington. It's a tough one because Washington's at home, and that's technically a home underdog, even though it's a pick'em. I think Carson Wentz gets better. I think Alshon Jeffrey is a legitimately terrifying target for Carson Wentz to be throwing to. On top of that, the Eagles have just been hanging around the division for enough time. I don't think there's one team in the NFC East who wins more than 10 games or loses more than 9. I think it's 7-10 is that entire wavering, and it's going to come down, I think, of course, it always does for playoff spots in Week 17. But these first week division games are always important because it does set the tone for the rest of the season. Philadelphia gets a win at Washington. It means they already have one division win, and it's on the road. I think they're going to play for that. A lot of people are going to think this is a crazy pick. Chicago getting 7.5 points against Atlanta. I think the Super Bowl hangover is real. I think Chicago is an absolutely atrocious team, but in the same time, you can do the same methods of thinking that worked last year. Last year, the stat going into the season was teams who didn't make the playoffs hosting teams that did make the playoffs, getting more than a touchdown, covered the spread like 75% of the time or more. Last year's exact example of that was the Jaguars hosting the Packers, and it was like a 6.5-point game. And the Jaguars covered the spread. I'm using the same logic that Bedbank taught me last year to take the Chicago Bears to cover the spread against the Atlanta Falcons, who have not played a meaningful football game since they blew the largest lead in Super Bowl history and easily one of the most historic collapses until the eventual Dodgers blow their like 28.5 game division lead against the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Jets getting 9.5 points. I hate the pick, but we're going with the Jets. Cincinnati giving 2.5 at Baltimore. I'm taking Cincinnati because they're at home. Cleveland getting 8.5 points. Just did a clip on Cleveland. But fuck no, I'm not taking Cleveland. Are you insane? It's 8.5 points. I get Ben Roethlisberger's road splits are terrible. Okay, Le'Veon Bell's there. Antonio Brown's there. Martavius Bryant's there. Just whatever. 2 of them get injured, they still win by 8.5 points. We are going to skip Houston and Jacksonville because I have no idea where that game is being played, and my prayers do nothing, and I'm not even that religious of a person, so I'll donate some money, obviously, to Florida when they get hit, unfortunately, by a massive hurricane, and Houston's already been hit, and there's another one forming in the Gulf, and there's a Jose right behind Irma. I don't know about you, but like everyone becomes a boxing expert before a boxing fight, like I am now a full-blown meteorologist, and I will tell you the path of that hurricane because it's all I do is sit there and watch it, and it's terrifying, and I feel bad. I'm a little afraid that Irma was so strong that it's going to hit Miami and then come for LA. Just fucking dart across the country and say, oh, no, you guys deserve it. You haven't had an earthquake in like 20 years. You deserve some kind of disaster. We could use the rain, though. Tennessee hosting Oakland. I like Tennessee in this game, but Danny picked Oakland. All right. Well, he took Oakland. So be it. Rams giving 3.5 points to Indianapolis. The Rams are not that bad. I think a lot of that was Jeff Fisher. Like, Jeff Fisher, enough said. Lay the points. Green Bay hosting Seattle. The only reason I take the Seahawks in this case, because I love taking Green Bay, especially when Aaron Rodgers gets to do everything himself still. The only reason I'm taking Seattle is because they're getting more than a field goal, and I think it's a field goal game. And I believe Seattle's defense is up there. They're going. As Colin Cowherd said it recently, they're pushing all their chips all in. And we'll know how good Seattle is, I think, after week 1. I don't think there'll be any major drastic takeaways besides, man, this team's front 11. The stat that was read recently was 7 of their starting defensive players have played in a total of 21 Pro Bowls. They just got Sheldon Richardson, alongside the likes of pass rushing specialists like Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, given his situation, hopefully clearing up soon. Michael Bennett, Richard Sherman is probably now towards the slightly we overrate, just in general we overrate Richard Sherman, who we underrate somehow still is Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, who are 2 of the absolute best at their positions, and the Legion of Boom is still not, you don't want to throw into them, like you just don't. When you have to game plan around the fact that 3 or 4 of these defensive backs could intercept your passes with one hand and come out of effing nowhere like a drunk Seahawk, literally, then you got to do something about that. So I think that Green Bay, Mike McCarthy's still somehow coaching that team. I still won't give him credit for being a good coach. I got to take Seattle. I want to take Carolina. Danny says San Francisco. EP Dan Keston says... XCP Dan Keston says San Francisco. I say Carolina, but it's bolded in. It says that I took San Francisco. So I guess go Carlos Hyde. Of course we're taking the New York Giants against the Cowboys. We're taking the New York Football Giants against the Cowboys because in a million years I will never shade in, color in, boldify, sharpen anything with Dallas Cowboys on it. I hear Dallas is actually a great city. I don't mind the city. I mind the Cowboys. -3.5. The right pick is the Giants. Not because I'm a stupid Giants fan. The right pick is the Giants because the Giants have always been a better road team than they are at home. And they're getting, again, more than a field goal. And they have a touted defense that should be feared by all. Except we know Eli's going to throw some picks. That's what he's going to do. It's his face. You can't help it. His face looks like that, okay? He's going to throw 2 of those. Maybe 3, but he'll find 2 touchdowns. Odell's probably not playing. Ezekiel Elliott is playing, which is all the reason why the Giants will keep it close without Odell, and then we'll get him back and somehow shit the bed. Minnesota and LA Chargers are the last 2 picks. Minnesota giving 3.5. I don't think Minnesota's even that good, but still, Denver giving 3.5 to LA Chargers. We don't know what's going on with the Denver quarterback situation. They just signed Brock Osweiler after not giving Brock Osweiler like the $4 million more than he wanted, which made John Elway look smart, even though he offered Brock Osweiler like $17 million crazy dollars or whatever it was. He offered $4 or $5 million less than the Houston Texans did. Brock Osweiler took the money, went to Houston, was terrible, was unfathomably bad at the at the quarterback position. You can just leave it in, okay? It's a rough day. It's Thursday. We've been doing other shows. We've been filling in for What the Flick and Amir Nakui. We're doing everything around here nowadays, everybody. They were unfathomably. Brock Osweiler was bad. And then Brock Osweiler got laughably traded to the Browns. And he wasn't good enough for the Browns! He wasn't good enough to be a Brown! Now he's back on the Broncos. Fuck no, I'm not taking the Broncos as long as Brock Osweiler was there. Love Von Miller, though. It's like the 6th most likable guy in the NFL, if you watch my other clip. So yeah, Chargers aren't as bad as people think they are. I mean, it says LA. I don't think that's necessarily true. I heard Phillip Rivers is getting like airlifted like Kobe used to into the games. Which, by the way, if you have the money, fuck yeah, sure. Absolutely. You were just coming. You played in Orange County, San Diego, that whole area anyway. Just live that life, Phillip Rivers. I don't know why people hate you. You're kind of a tool. Kind of. But I don't think that's a reason to completely hate you. That's the picks. If you take them, use them at your own discretion. This is a set money pool. I put in money in the beginning of the year. So if you go, they'd be like, I put $100 on all your picks. You're a fucking idiot. I'd be like, well, you know, if you're throwing out how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I feel like Mike Francesa. 7, 8, 9. There's like 12 games. You put in $1,200 on the line. You need to spend your money better. Comment below. Like, favorite, subscribe. And maybe we'll bring back Chris and Ben. If we can find Chris overseas and if Ben Mank ever shows up again. We'll do another segment. See you next time.